welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Alex, and today's video was requested by one of my subscribers, AlciaNeas16.3, who very politely asked if I would please consider doing a tour of my bookshelves, and my answer is absolutely. I wasn't sure if anyone would be interested in me doing a tour of my shelves, which is why I held off on it, but now I know at least one person wants me to, so this video is for you. My books live in 3 places: my floating bookshelves behind me, the bookcase that you normally see me sitting in front of in my videos, and my dining room shelves, which are my original set. Apologies for the lighting in here, it's not the best, and it's also the reason why I don't film in front of these shelves. The shelf all the way down at the end are Keaton's books, and so those won't be included in this video. Also, if you're wondering why this shelf right here is so bare, it's because I got the other shelves in my office and I started taking books from these and putting them in the other room, so it looks a little sparer than it used to. I'm going to start this video with all of the books that I own that I've actually read. Now, as the video goes on, the thing that you're going to note is she has considerably more books that she hasn't read compared to those she has. She probably doesn't read anything on her shelf. But I can promise you that that's not true. The main reason why I have fewer books that I've read compared to those that I haven't is because I get rid of a lot of the books that I read and I don't decide to keep them. I am not one of those people that wants to collect books that I have no intention of ever reading again. I don't like to keep books that I didn't enjoy just for the sake of having shelves that are full. Now, I have nothing against people who do that, but I don't have enough shelf space, and I don't want to waste space with books that I look at them and I don't have any positive feeling about. So all of the books that I've read that I'm going to tell you about are ones that I would recommend that you read, and that's the reason why I kept them. That, or I think it's because a friend of mine would enjoy it. Okay, so moving from left to right, I have The Outsider, Pan's Labyrinth, Leviathan Wakes, Through the Woods, The Galaxy and the Ground Within, The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, Record of a Spaceborne Few, A Psalm for the Wild Built, A Prayer for the Crowned Shy, and yes, all of these right here are Becky Chamber books. I have a Monster Calls, I have a Neil Gaiman collection of children's stories, which include The Graveyard Book, Fortunately, The Milk, and Coraline. And then I have another one, which was Good Omens, which was by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman, and how I got introduced to Terry Pratchett. Then there's The Martian Chronicles, Stardust, The Green Mile, The Halloween Tree, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, LMNOP, The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society, yes, that's a mouthful, Memoirs of a Geisha, The Ocean at the End of the Lane, The Handmaid's Tale, and Hard-Boiled Wonderland and the End of the World. If you've seen any of my other videos, you probably recognize some of these. The shelf immediately below that, I have The Book Thief, Little Women, Pride and Prejudice, The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, Fahrenheit 451, The Illustrated Man, The Handmaid's Tale, Oryx and Crake, and American Gods. And all of these books right here are the Folio Society editions. Then I have Recursion, The House on the Cerulean Sea, The Vanished Birds, Space Opera, All the Light We Cannot See. Then the first 2 books in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series, so The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, of course, and The Restaurant at the End of the Universe. And then it starts my collection of my Terry Pratchett books. So I have The Color of Magic. The Light Fantastic is a book that I have digitally, so I don't yet have a physical copy of that one. But then I have Equal Rights, Mort, Sorcery, Weird Sisters, Pyramids. And then I have this little book, which, if you look on the inside, has this really beautiful marbled paper. And it is Terry Pratchett, His World, A Brief Guide to Discworld. So you can tell that I'm definitely a Discworld fan. Moving on down, I have Hour of the Witch, Under the Dome, The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, The Hollow Ones, Where the Crawdads Sing, It, Needful Things, Trigger Warning, Fragile Things. You can see how many books by Neil Gaiman I have. I have Slaughterhouse-Five, The Bees, Journey to the Center of the Earth, Murder on the Orient Express, Halloween Party, They Both Die at the End, This Is How You Lose the Time War, The Last Wish, which is the only book from the Witcher series that I have actually read, and then The Master and Margarita. Then I have Illuminae, Gemina, and Obsidio, as well as a special edition of The Time-Traveling Caveman by Terry Pratchett. I also have this cool little magazine called Dark Matter Magazine, which, if you're not familiar with it, it was published, I think, in the last couple years. It's a new one that came out, and they specialize in showing science fiction short stories, and each one gets an image in it, and then they also will show like some type of unique art that the editor really liked. I have 4 of these. You're going to see the other ones here in a little bit. This is the only one I've read, but it was actually a cool little magazine. Then I have I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy, and then I have A History of Wild Places, American Dirt, Station 11, The Storytelling Animal, Free Water, Misery, and Mass Effect Revelation. You can definitely tell that I read kind of a wide range of books. And then we're going to move down to the very bottom shelf down here. All right, and now we're all the way down on the floor. Hello. You're going to get to see now my Hellboy collection. Most people don't know this about me, but I'm a huge fan of Hellboy. I've been collecting the comics since I was a kid. And these are a very, very small portion of my comics because these are essentially the trades or the novels that were written. They're not the regular comics. But I have I have actually the 2 art books from the original 2 movies made by Guillermo del Toro. I have Hellboy, House of the Living Dead. I have the first BPRD trade for Plague of Frogs, 1 through 5 of some of the other trades, which include Seed of Destruction, Wake the Devil, the Chained Coffin and Others, The Right Hand of Doom, and the Conqueror Worm. And then I have another copy, funny enough, of the Chained Coffin and Others, which was not part of this original set. And then I have Hellboy, Bones of the Giant, the companion, and then this neat little one, which I have never been able to find any of the other books, which is The Judgment Bell from the Hellboy animated series, which were also by Guillermo del Toro, and this is the second book. I found this at a half-price bookstore. I have no idea how many there are in this set, but haven't ever seen any others. And then over on this side, I have a Warhammer book. I very, very briefly played Warhammer, and a friend of mine got me this book so I would know what to do with my characters, my little figures. I have Diablo, Sword of Justice, because Diablo also has comic books, in case you didn't know. I have Lo, which is just gorgeous. I'm going to show you that really quick because it's so pretty. And then I have all of the trades of the Saga comic that are currently out, which are, booped you. Which are 1 through 10. I'm a huge fan of Saga, and I will collect all of the trades that come out. Okay, then I have another small little shelf. So I have Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. I have this fun, the science fiction and fantasy quiz book, which I also got from a half-price books, and I would recommend this if you are a fan of science fiction and fantasy, if you want to test your knowledge against your friends or just yourself. Then I have Hell Followed With Us and Roller Girl. I'm going to try not to let these fall down. And we're starting to get to the end here of books that I've actually read. So, I have a Easton Press edition of Science Fiction of the 20th Century, which is very cool. This is the largest Easton Press book that I own, and also has a ton of illustrations in it, which are all like actual covers from old science fiction magazines, and it gives a description of them. So this is essentially a love letter to old sci-fi if you're somebody who typically reads from that era. I have the 2 Mass Effect compendiums of all of their comic books, in case you were curious. Mass Effect published comics as well. I have the 3 art books from the different games. I have this really funny Aliens, Past, Present, and Future, which, hypothesizes what it would be like if aliens were real, and then all of the different versions of aliens that we have come up with in science fiction over the years. I have a Mass Effect Discovery, which is tucked in there. So I have a set of the Dragon Age comics. I have the 2 world books that actually tell you about the lore of the Dragon Age universe, and then I have the art book for Inquisition. I also have a little world book for, I think this is for Elder Scrolls. Here's the funny thing about this book. I bought it because it was beautiful and because I love the imagery, not because I played the games. This is the only book I own that's like that. Normally I only buy things that I'm a fan of. And then I have the 2 Terry Pratchett archives for Ankh-Morpork because of course I have to, and this explains also the lore of the world as well as the guilds. And then I have all 4 of the Diablo books that came out. So I have the Book of Lorath, which is very recent. I have the Book of Adria, which is from the 3rd game. The Book of Tyrael, which is from the 3rd game. And then the Book of Cain. I also collect the Watchmen comics. So I have the Watchmen. This is the comic of, the movie. And then before The Watchmen. And then I have some of the regular comics that aren't in hardback form as well. Now for these, I wanted to come up to the table so you could see them a little bit more clearly. When I was a kid, I was a giant fan of Neopets, if for any of you who remember those, and they released a series of magazines that would tell you about the world and, you know, different games and different tricks in order to beat the games. And I collected as many as I could. Of course, I couldn't drive, so I didn't get all of them, but as many as I could pick up, I got. And I have kept them for all of these years. So I have all of these different, you know, old-fashioned Neopets magazines that I have adored since I was a kid. And they mean a lot to me. And, you know, other people would be like, oh my God, why'd you keep those? They're not really worth a whole lot. And they're not, but they're sentimental to me. So I'm going to have to double back to this shelf because, again, I'm only talking about the books that I've actually read right now. So of these Easton Press editions, and then I have some more of the Dark Matter magazines, I have read The Moon Pool, Dandelion Wine, and Waystation. And these are some of my other collectible books. Sorry that some of them are a little overexposed. I'll show you this one a bit better. It's because, again, the lighting in here is awful. But I have another edition of The Martian Chronicles and Memoirs of a Geisha. I have also read Neuromancer, and previously I've read Ender's Game, though I plan to reread it. And then this is another edition of The Ocean at the End of the Lane, which was signed actually both by Neil Gaiman and by the artist. I had this specially shipped from UK because I wanted this edition so badly. And then I have not only a signed but a dedicated copy of Hotel on the Corner of Bitter and Sweet, which actually was dedicated to me. For Alex, True Love Abides All, Jamie Ford. Are you still with me? Are you feeling okay? Because now we're about to get into the books that I haven't read. So I have The Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula K. Le Guin. I have The Martian, City of Pearl, Gateway, The Prefect, Fight Club, Death is a Lonely Business, and Quicker Than the Eye. Alright, and then we have What Mad Universe, The Big Time, The Gods Themselves, Down Below Station, Babel 17, and then these three other editions of Dark Matter magazine, which again, honestly, they have really cool covers and they are pretty reminiscent of older sci-fi with kind of a new twist to it, in case that's something that you'd be interested in. I don't know how many issues they have now, but I'm sure it's way more than the number that I own. And then for my shelf that's just below this, but honestly isn't that interesting because it doesn't have that much good stuff on it, is The White Giraffe. And then these two books are Keaton's, but he wants me to read them, which is We'll Save the Galaxy for Food and We'll Destroy the Galaxy for Cash, which sound awesome. And then Hang the Moon. I do have a copy of Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, as well as The Collector, which was given to me by a friend of mine because this is her favorite book. And would you look at that, I have some more Hellboy and some more Mass Effect. Who is surprised? Absolutely not me. I have Hellboy Oddest Jobs. I have The Fire Wolves. I have The Ice Wolves, The All-Seeing Eye, and Emerald Hell. And then for the Mass Effect books, I have Mass Effect Retribution, The Nexus Uprising, Andromeda, Initiation, which was also from Andromeda, and Annihilation, which was also from Andromeda, also known as the probably most hated Mass Effect game in existence. And then I have the two early science fictions of Philip K. Dick, which are Volume 1 and Volume 2. I think these look very pulpy. I could tell you they're published by Dover, and I'm not really familiar with that publisher at all, but I picked them up at a bookstore that is like very small, and they kind of have like eclectic books. And then I have Ready Player 2 by Ernest Cline, and I haven't read it because honestly, I'm very skeptical about it. Okay, and then this is the last shelf for this room. So, if you're wondering why I don't have the first 3 Harry Potter books, that will be explained in a little bit. So right now, I have Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, and Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, as well as The Cursed Child, which of course I've heard 1,000,002 different horrible things about, so I probably won't enjoy it, but I own it. And then I have the Ultimate Harry Potter and Philosophy, because I do enjoy philosophy quite a bit. I especially like it when people can relate it back to pop culture. And then I have the Tales of Beedle and Bard. And then I have the other 5 of the Witcher books with Geralt of Rivia. And then I have these really like kind of beat up collections and editions of the Lord of the Rings books. So I have The Fellowship of the Ring, The Two Towers, and The Return of the King. And I did not buy these. These were gifted to me. One day I will get nicer editions of these books, I'm sure. And then, of course, I have the Del Rey version of The Hobbit before those movies came out. So that's it for these shelves. Let's go into my other room that has better lighting where you might actually be able to see my face. I can honestly say I don't know which part is funnier, the fact that I am standing on the tallest stool that I have and I'm still not tall enough to reach the stack of books, or the fact that my tripod, which can go like 7 feet, is also not tall enough to reach the stack of books. So I'm gonna have to adjust for these top ones, so give me just a second. Alright, this set is organized by color. Sorry for the really terrible angle. So I got Stephen King's The Long Walk, There, The 100 Years of Lenny and Margot, Bunny, Georgie All Along, and Early Riser. So my next tallest stack all the way up here is The October Country, A Death of No Importance, City of Sharks, and Cold Storage. At a slightly more manageable height, I have Pachinko, A Man Called Uva, The Secret Daughter of the Tsar, Life After Life, and The Women in the Castle. Then over here, I have Dolores Claiborne, Clade, The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian, Composite Creatures, Little Fires Everywhere, and Beasts of Extraordinary Circumstance. Alright, and then I got Guards, The Mermaid Chair, and The Lives of Puppets, Ubik, which is another Folio Society edition, and Inheritance, which is the last book in the Inheritance cycle, which is those Aragon books by Christopher Paolini. And then I have Big Little Lies, A Different Kind of Evil, A Lass Away, Under the Whispering Door, Other Birds, and How Lucky. Next pile, and then there were none, The Dark Tower, Doctor Sleep, The Mist, Apt Pupil, If It Bleeds, and The Bazaar of Bad Dreams. I'm enough of a Stephen King fan that he gets pretty much his own section sometimes. And then we got Dragon Rider, Tuesday Mooney Talks to Ghosts, The Perishing, Upgrade, and An Absolutely Remarkable Thing. Okay, welcome down to my level. I'm actually standing on the floor now. Up next, we got The Last Human, Light from Uncommon Stars, The Body, The Midnight Library, The Lost Apothecary, and The Testaments. Up next in lovely red is From the Dust Returned, The Bone Setter's Daughter, The Toynbee Convector, Lord of the Flies, which is also a Folio Society edition, The Tea-Girl of Hummingbird Lane, and Songs of Willow Frost, which is also a signed edition by Jamie Ford. Though that one is not signed to me, it was just one that I found at Barnes & Noble. Okay, this is one of the last two piles on this wall. So I have The Dante Club, The Library at Mount Char, Magic Lessons, Legends and Lattes, The Book of Longing, Small Angels, and Babel. And finally, I have The Girl in the Spider's Web, Neverwhere, John Dies at the End, The Chain, and The Chestnut Man. And now you're finally going to get up close and personal with the books you usually see me sitting in front of in my other videos. Moving from top to bottom here, I have Demon Copperhead, Between Shades of Grey, The Known World, The Remains of the Day, I Sing the Body Electric, The Catcher in the Rye, and The Storied Life of A.J. Fickery. This book is a book club journal where you can write reviews and is brand new, so I haven't written anything in it yet. A little bit over to the left here, I have The Invention of Wings, Everything I Never Told You, Runaway, The Immortalists, The Great Alone, The Ables, The Best Science Fiction and Fantasy of the Year, Volume 7, and of course an extremely beautiful edition of Dune by Frank Herbert with the spray-painted edges. I have another small pile here of some Stephen King books, so I have Desperation, The Institute, 11/22/63, Blaze, The Running Man, and Pet Cemetery. In the middle here, I have some more of my Folio Society editions, so I have Stranger in a Strange Land, The Anansi Boys, which I can show you this slipcase because it's actually extremely cool. Jurassic Park, the Folio Science Fiction Anthology, Something Wicked This Way Comes, Rendezvous with Rama, Kindred, The Dispossessed, 2001: A Space Odyssey, I, Robot, The Name of the Wind, which is the 10th anniversary edition, so it also has a very beautiful cover and also has spray painted edges. We have The Night Circus, Lessons in Chemistry, The Space Between Worlds, and The Wedding Dress Sewing Circle. On the far right side, I have more of my classic novels, so I have Northanger Abbey, Persuasion, Sense and Sensibility, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Emma, Florence Nightingale, Wuthering Heights, Mansfield Park, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, The Scarlet Letter, and here is The Secret Garden. Okay, and then we only have 4 sections down below here. So I have the first 3 years of the Harry Potter Illustrated collection, as well as the Harry Potter Goblet of Fire Illustrated edition. So that's why I didn't have the first 3 books of the regular novels. Then I have this series by N.K. Jemisin. So I have the 5th season, The Obelisk Gate, and The Stone's Guy. On the right center, I have The Faceless Old Woman Who Secretly Lives in Your Home. At the time, this was an impulse buy because it was a signed first edition at Half Price Books and was very inexpensive. And then the signature. I know people absolutely rave about Welcome to Night Vale, so I honestly need to read this whole series, but this is the only physical book from this set that I own. And then I have Mordu, which I was gifted by Keaton because he DNF'd it and he didn't want to read it, so I'm going to give it a try. Also has a very cool cover. I have the other 3 books from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, so I have Life, the Universe, and Everything, So Long and Thanks for All the Fish, and Mostly Harmless. I have 1984 by George Orwell, which I have read. I just plan to reread it. So technically that probably should have been on the other shelves. But then I have Blade Runner, which was originally, of course, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. I have Childhood's End, Odd Thomas, and then The Lost Fleet Dauntless, which I randomly got a wild hair to get kind of like a military sci-fi book, which normally I wouldn't pick one of these up, but I'm going to give it a try anyway. All right, so left of center here, I have Major Pettigrew's Last Stand, The Fault in Our Stars, Molokai, Less, Will My Cat Eat My Eyeballs, which is also a signed edition by Caitlin Doughty, the author. Sorry, you're going to have a Bubby sighting here. So I have a stamp with her face on it. Thank you, Parker. And her signature, which is very cool. I have Orphan Train, White Elephant, which, fun fact about this book, I got this from a bookstore that was doing a blind date with a book, so I had no idea what I was getting. They just kind of gave a little brief descriptor, and I unwrapped it, and this is what I got. I have Normal People, Shanghai Girls, Neil deGrasse Tyson's Astrophysics for People in a Hurry, which has a very cool cover, and Anne Frank, The Diary of a Young Girl. All right, everybody, so these are the last of the books. This is the last little bit. So I have the Monstrous trades, which were kind of given to me to hold on to by a friend of mine. And so these are the first 4. Absolutely gorgeous artwork. I love these. Then I have Ashley Bell and One Dark Summer. So this was actually given to me by my aunt as a gift one year, and this was also dedicated to me. Now, I had never heard of this author before. This is a self-published book, so I have no idea like how good it's going to be, but the dedication does say, "To Alex, best wishes. Hope you enjoy the book." And it's by Bruce Whitley. Then there's The Only Good Indians, The Cuckoo's Calling, Robert Galbraith. For those of you who know, that is J.K. Rowling's pseudonym for not writing fantasy. That's for her. I think they're like thrillers, murder mystery books. Then The Tiger's Wife, The Children's Home, The Secret History, The ABC Murders, and The Outsiders, which I read many, many years ago, and I remember so little of that I might as well not have read it at all. So I do plan to reread that. So those are all of my books, and if we assume that I have the ability to count correctly and we are including all of the books that I listed, including my magazines, that is 356 physical books. I would love to hear if you share any of these books with me, or if you have any anticipated reads, and also the size of your library at home. How many books do you have? It could be more, could be less. I'd love to hear about it. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. I truly appreciate that you took the time to watch, and as always, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day or evening, that you all stay safe out there, and I'll see you next time.